Hi, friends. Good afternoon. My name is Alina Shautsova, New York immigration attorney, and today we're going to have a quick live discussing the recent immigration news concerning work permits. I'm sure a lot of you have questions about what's going on with those permits. I did record a short video about that, but there are a lot of questions. People are not sure. So I'm going to give you some more details about what's going on with those things. And if you have some questions, please join me and ask those questions. We're going to again talk about the work permits and the latest news. Again, my name is Alina Shautsova, New York immigration lawyer. I hold these lives regularly using my social media to educate you with regard to the most recent immigration news, share tips and some points for the United States immigration. Let me know where you're watching from. Don't be shy. And let's start. So on October 29th, we received news that DHS, Department of Homeland Security, will no longer provide automatic work permit extensions when you're filing for renewal of your existing work permits starting October 30th, which is yesterday. And people were very much confused about this announcement. Some people were saying, well, we had that before, and some people were saying it's not what it is, and things like that. So let's talk about this. What this announcement refers to concerns renewal of the work permits, first of all, not initial work permits, renewal of the existing work permits. Very often, an applicant for various immigration benefits in the United States would file for a work permit, which law allows them to do so. And that would allow such a person to accept legal employment or be self-employed legally in the United States. Most commonly, those people will be applicants for asylum in a category C08, applicants for adjustment of status, category C09, applicants for cancellation or removal who are waiting for their petition to be approved, C10, and so on and so forth. So all these people, starting about a couple years ago, were able to enjoy automatic work permit extension if they would file to renew their work permit prior to the expiration of their existing work permit, right? And then they would receive a notice saying that their application was accepted, and depending on when they filed for the renewal, they would have either 180 days or 540 days of automatic extension of their previous work permit. That would allow them to continuously engage in work legally with their employer, extend, if necessary, their driving license, update it, and so on. However, Trump administration decided that this is not necessary. They stated that from now on, if you're filing to extend your work permit, it will no longer be extended automatically upon filing. What it means? Well, it means, first of all, of course, that it's going to affect only renewals. That's number one. And renewals that will be filed or are starting to be filed starting October 30th, 2025. If you filed for the renewal previously and received a notice saying that you received this 540-day extension, this should not affect you, okay? That's number one. Number two, what it means also is that the law allows you to file for renewal of your work permit 180 days prior to the expiration of your existing work permit, all right? So you will have to act expeditiously and file in advance, all right? You will hope that the government of the United States would consider the work permits, your applications, within this 180 days. You cannot pre-file, you cannot file too early, but that's, that's what it is, 180 days. If they will take longer than that and your work permit expires, it would mean that unfortunately, you will lose your employment, legal employment. You're also going to lose your driver's license, and perhaps there will be other consequences. If you don't have the money, you cannot pay rent, and so on and so forth. So the government stated that they are doing this so that they're going to do extra vetting before they will be renewing your work permits. Okay. Some people said, oh, it's not a big deal, but I think it is a big deal, knowing that USCIS may take much longer than 180 days to make a decision on your work permit. It will mean that potentially you will be left out of options and will not be able to work while your application is pending. So it's a very serious change. And no, we have not had it recently, at least not within the past 8 to 10 years. So it's a big change. Why the government was able to do it so quickly? Well, because this particular provision of immigration law is controlled by regulations. Regulations can be flexible. They depend on administration. But, there is one exception to this rule. It is for people who are filing to renew their TPS. Why? Because that was under Act of Congress, and regulation cannot change that. So I hope this little explanation answers your questions about what's happening with the work permits. And now if you guys have immigration questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing this live. Thank you guys on TikTok. Hi, Zach. Hi, thank you for watching from Mexico City. Hi, Ali. Hi, Riaz. Let me know if you guys have immigration questions. We're discussing immigration law and recent changes in the United States. Hi from Dubai. I always think that it's very hot in Dubai. I don't know if it's true. Is it true? Let me know. I've never been to Dubai. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Thank you guys for sending stars. Hello, hello. Thank you for sending your likes and hearts. Hi, Mohammed. Thank you, Mohammed, for sharing the stream. Let's see. We just spoke about immigration situation with work permits. And of course, it's, it's tough to see all these little changes that are reshaping the immigration pathways, and to see and understand that people will probably be losing their jobs because of that. That's really tough. Hi, Painter. Сколько стоит EB3-процесс, если у меня уже есть готовый меня принять работодатель? Процесс зависит от адвоката. Разные адвокаты берут по-разному. Я, к сожалению, не могу из-за этических норм озвучивать цену в эфире. Но вы можете, например, написать в мой офис, email office@shautsova.com, и я вам скажу, сколько мы берем. Также к адвокатским гонорарам нужно приплюсовать правительственные пошлины, это $700 плюс 300 или $600 в зависимости от того размера работодателя, который хочет вас спонсировать, и деньги на рекламу, которая может стоить от 3,5 до 5,5 тысяч обычно. В общем, это приличная сумма на самом деле. Это одна из самых дорогих green-card. A person asked me how much would it cost to go through EB3 process. EB3 process is one of the most expensive processes in the United States immigration because it involves a lot of work stretched out during a significant period of time. Plus, you have to pay, an employer has to pay costly advertising fees and government fees. So it's one of the most expensive processes. Quite not as expensive as a B5 or gold card, but still it's pretty costly. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hi, Rips. I'm asking, I'm a visitor and I want to marry Ecuadorian US citizen. I'm Arabic, master's degree and 20 years old. All right. So if you are on a visitor's visa in the United States, as long as you did not plan this marriage ahead of time, and now you are marrying a US citizen, in most situations, you'll be able to get a green card in the United States. But guess what? If you entered the United States as a tourist, as a visitor, and got married with a US citizen right away, the government will accuse you of fraud. They're going to say that you knew you were going to get married, and instead of entering the United States on a visitor's visa, you should have used the fiancé route, for example. We do have a rule like that, and people sometimes, unfortunately, they get into trouble because of that rule. Hi, Zishana. Do I need to get a new I-51 passport stamp to continue my employment while my VAWA I-360 case is filed? Yes. All right. So I-551 passport stamp that you're a green card holder. That's what the stamp is for usually, right? Do you need to get a new one? If something is if you don't have a physical green card, that's when you usually have it. Somebody would get that stamp usually if they don't have the physical green card. They filed for citizenship and they haven't been granted it, but their green card expired, or they filed to remove conditions of their green card. Then that's when they're going to get the stamp. Okay. All right. Let's see. Everything in immigration is expensive. Yeah, some people are more expensive than others. That's true. Hi, Zakir. Thank you for a hi from Chicago. How are you doing? When you pass your citizen English and history test, but they say the decision cannot be made. Yeah, it happens, right? So it happens. So then that's when you're going to get your 551 stamp. Yeah. All right, that happens, not a big deal. Sometimes they do extra background checks. You don't need to worry much if you didn't have any issues. If you did have issues, you should have filed for citizenship only after a lawyer reviewed your case. It's very important. Okay. Hi, Monique. I'm married to a US citizen and got my green card last June. Congratulations. And then my spouse petitioned for my minor child in August of last year. Is that the new waiting time? We are in the United States. August of 2024, and the kid is in the United States. The kid entered the United States legally. No, it shouldn't be August last year. All right, yes. So it's going to take about a year. Hopefully, right about now, you should get the decision on that petition. Okay. Is it third country processing still available for asylum pending applicant needing to do consular processing approved I-130? It's not available automatically, but for humanitarian reasons, embassy may change your post. Okay. It's possible to ask them, of course. They will decide it on a case-by-case basis. Okay. Hi, Julie. Do I have to travel internationally when the I-751 original letter with, if I only received a courtesy copy, yeah, that's fine. Even if with a courtesy copy, you'll be fine. They can easily check what's going on with you, okay? Thank you, Max, for your gift. Thank you for all that you do. My mom is a resident and wants to apply for citizenship. Can she put no in the application for the part about swearing in? No, guys, no. Like you're talking about, like if she are swearing in, like if she's unable, or tell me more about your question. Type up more information. There are a couple of questions that if you say no, you most likely not going to have citizenship granted. Okay, you should take the oath of allegiance. It's very important. Okay, that's your question. And military, because religious purpose. So bearing arms and religious purpose, I think yes, as long as she will agree to civilian service, and she'll have to explain herself, okay? And she'll have to show that she does have certain sincere religious belief, But then, if you don't want to bear arms, you can't. You still have to. You still have to state that you're going to be loyal to the United States, and then you will perform non-combatant, I think they call it, non-fighting functions. All right. Talk with an attorney. What religion is she practicing? Can you prove that? How long she's been doing that for? Honestly, in practice, I think it will never happen that your mom will have to do anything. Hopefully, right? We never know. Hopefully. Yes, file on paper. You can file your application and for 100 on paper. You don't have to do it online. All right? It's cold here in Mexico City. Oh, it's kind of cold in New York too. Yeah. So file on paper. If you guys need to write any explanation next to your answer in the form, it's possible to do that by filing your forms by paper. They stated that soon you'll be able to upload PDFs, which is going to be much better than simply filling out the answers, because there are so many mistakes people make when they file those forms online. Unbelievable. How can I get help in the free visa tickets? Oh, free visa. I'm not sure what the free visa is. All right, let's see. Hi, Belor. I'm a pending asylum applicant and I got an employer who wants to sponsor my EB3. What are the chances of getting approved? Well, I guess the chances depend on your experience, qualifications for the position that your employer would like to hire you for, right? The size of the employer, their ability to pay you the prevailing wage, of course, and if the recruitment process will be successful. That's how the process is structured. But you need to remember that we're talking about I-140 petition. You will not be able to adjust in the United States or get a green card in the United States if you're asylum pending only. Without leaving the United States, you won't be able to benefit from that I-140. So you will have to also plan for leaving the United States later and getting an immigrant visa. How much would it cost for a lawyer to do the application and go to the interview? Well, it depends on the location, lawyer's experience. Usually it can be anywhere. As I said, like we have this rule, ethical rules, that lawyers should not be talking about their fees online, openly, so that other lawyers are not going to hear them, and like a monopoly would not set the price. So please email me and I will let you know how much we charge, right? But I am located in New York. So if your mom is somewhere else, it may be different. Email office@shautsova.com, my last name.com. If you guys need to consult with me, my phone number is 917-885-2261, but you will need to book an appointment, okay? Hi, Thady Torres. Hi, I'm Alina. I'm currently in cancellation or removal and is the most scary moment in my life. After 20 years in the United States and daughter 11 years American citizen, we are in the middle of the storm. I understand. Listen, it's crazy, but not too much crazy. I do not know if you are waiting for the cancellation or removal to be approved already. If the judge indicated that they will approve the case, then I don't think you should worry much about that. If, however, the case has not been heard, it's a totally different story, all right? That's a totally different story. You have to prepare very, very well and potentially prepare for appeals and perhaps alternative solutions, if any, okay? Hi, Joseph. Hi, Chris, watching from Nigeria. Whoa, nice. Hold on, where does it go? Yes, she can prove she has been a Jehovah's Witness for 15 years. Right, so they do have religious exception, but then you have to prove, I think she'll be all right, that she cannot be violent, right? She cannot be violent, but she nevertheless has to show that she can serve. That's totally fine. And for sometimes even for the oath ceremony, when they say like that will help you God, for certain people, they can do certain adjustments if you ask them and you have a good explanation and evidence as to why you are asking for the exceptions. If you can deal without the exceptions, it's the best, because then your life is easier, all right? But it's possible, yes. All right. Let's see. Hi, Justin. Can CBP and ICE ignore judge's order if I travel internationally? I was granted green card and I-212H waiver at my merit hearing. Got the physical card. Justin, highly unlikely. They may ask you about this, but you will have to explain what happened, and highly unlikely that they will try to ignore. They can try to ignore. That would be, of course, a violation of your rights and everything else, but I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest, okay? You will have to have, I would advise you to prepare well, all right, before you travel, but I think you should be fine. Hi, Kelsey C. Dignity Act. Unfortunately, I have not seen any positive news about Dignity Act. I've seen tons of news about how ICE is, pushing people back and forth and arresting people in various parts of the country, which is like stressful to see. Even to see it is stressful, because I feel that most of that is completely unnecessary. Most of it, like all of it. But I just discussed it with someone today. In addition to this enforcement saying, why wouldn't they pass an immigration reform saying, listen, if you don't want to go through this, do it the way we tell you to do it, right? Pay a fine and everything. You can't not leave people any options, especially when the previous administration put people in this very situation. So that's just, it's crazy. The whole thing is crazy. All right, let's see, guys, if you have questions on TikTok. Do you have any information about Welcome Corpus? Hillary, it's not looking good. Just a couple of days ago, the Trump administration announced historically low numbers for admission of the refugees. I don't think they will be doing anything with Welcome Corpus program, I'll be honest. I think they stated that they're going to allow 7,500 of white people from South Africa. I don't care about the color of the people they take, but I think it's kind of weird, at least the news focused on the race. Is it like, what, they're not going to accept somebody who's not white? I don't know. I don't want to spread misinformation. I would need to really see the original source. But if this is the original source, it's just crazy. Okay. So I don't think they will at all do anything with Welcome Corpus, which was the great proposal, right? It was modeled after a Canadian program where you actually can choose a refugee you're sponsoring, and you kind of undertake this duty to help this person to assimilate in the United States. Fantastic program. I'm sure many of you would help out somebody in the home country that in distress, but it was never fully developed, this program. And now we have the situation with the selection of the refugee, allegedly, because as I said, I didn't see the original source, based on their skin color, which sounds just, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm white. I don't support that. I can't support that. I can't support that because, it's just not right. Fiancé visa. Yes. If somebody is a US citizen, they can petition for their fiancé out of the United States, stating that within 90 days, if that person enters the United States, they will be marrying them. And there are some requirements to meet. You have to show that you do have a true intent to get married, you have a true relationship, you've been dating, you've seen each other in person at least once within the past 2 years prior to the petition being filed, okay? So that's what fiancé visa would be for. But certain people cannot petition foreigners for marriage-based visas. Those who have convictions that prevent you to do so under Adam Walsh Act. Hi. After second marriage-based interview, how many days are needed to get the decision? If the interview passed, if you guys passed, then it will be within a month you're going to get a decision. If not, unfortunately, it can be a very long time, because then they're going to do inspection, maybe go to neighbors, go to work and things like that, check you guys out, and then make a decision, you know? Yes, you have to meet first. That's correct. Yes, without meeting in person, that's not possible. Yes. Hi, Nasir. Or yes, we'll have a call, right? Hi, Pain Uzumaki. CJ's cases, administrative closure. Yes, some judges do administratively close cases where a person got I-360 approved, definitely based on CJ, yeah. Good morning, guys. Greetings from Indonesia. Yay! All around the world. That's so amazing to see, guys, from every continent almost, right? Amazing. All right. Let's see if you have more questions. Thank you very much, Livan, for the gift. Thank you, guys, watching on TikTok. Let's see. How long does habeas corpus take for Texas? Oh, in Texas, I would not know. But I'm going to tell you that generally speaking, it's a pretty fast process, right? Why? Because the whole idea behind it is that the person's rights are being violated by this illegal, usually detention, right? So it takes it's a matter of months, not years, all right? And it's less than 6 months usually. It's pretty fast. All right, how long it's going to take to give a decision? That's for sponsorship of the minor kid for adjustment of status. Typically, if you file last year, it would take about 11 to 12 months. So you should have the decision typically. However, if you look at the processing times for I-45s, they're longer, right? They're longer. And also, I understand that your spouse is a US citizen, right? Yes, I hope so. Yeah. Is it possible to change from immigrant to non-immigrant status, from immigrant to non-immigrant? Yes, by giving up your green card. But why would you want to do that? If you're an immigrant and you have a green card, to become a non-immigrant, you would have to give up your green card. Some people do that for tax purposes. They don't want to live in the United States. They just want to visit. They submit Form I-407 in the consulate, and then they become non-immigrant. But they may have hard time getting that non-immigrant visa. Okay. Say 6'7". All right. It's a kid. Is it a kid who's commenting on 6'7"? Come on, tell me. 804. How old are you? Because my kids who are 12 and 7 play this game with me, okay? I hope you're older. Kids should not be watching the stressful immigration news reports. I had 2-year green card based on my previous marriage, okay? When you pass, So what happened? Tell me more. What happened with that green card? Please, guys, take petition I-751, removal of conditions, very, very seriously. Prepare much better than for your original adjustment of status. Because if you don't pass this test, if they do not approve that I-751, by law, they must place you in removal proceedings. Trust me, you do not want that, okay? Hi, Tim, did people start receiving ISLE green cards? Yes, some people are receiving ISLE green cards. Yes. Second marriage-based interview was separately but friendly, not the same question 1 week ago. All right, so if you guys, the officer usually, after the Stokes interview, that's what it is called in New York, when you question separately. The officer usually is giving you indication how well you did, all right? So if you mostly answered questions the same way, then you pass the interview. You also speak with your attorney what areas you did well and what areas of questioning you didn't do so well. If there are any issues to prepare, maybe there will be another fee afterwards sometimes. So notice of intent to deny, it's okay as long as you have documents to explain. Okay. Hi, Lily. My husband got detained today and they told me he has a pre-trial this evening, but they are gonna deport. Hi, Lily. So I'm sorry to hear that your husband got detained. They stated that they're going to deport him so quickly. It means that he either has an aggravated felony, and then the deportation process can take shape of administrative proceeding, where a person is served with a notice to respond, and if it's less than a month's process, or a person already has an order of removal against them. Okay. Maybe they're subject to expedited removal, but then it also takes some time for them, because if the person expresses fear of going back home, then they have to give this person a credible fear interview. If a person with a previous order of removal expresses fear of going home, they have to give them a reasonable fear interview. So I don't know what's happening. I haven't seen the files. I do not know your husband's immigration and criminal history, but perhaps it's worth it for you to discuss it with an attorney and see if anything can be done at all. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for following. All right. Thank you guys. Let's see. Hi. One of my brothers has DACA. Can he move to Oklahoma for 1 year and reapply for DACA and work in Oklahoma City and then return to Texas to work in Houston after that year, or maybe work remotely for a company? Oh, you know what? I think what I understand, the way I understood the rule to be, is that if you are going to be residing in Texas, that ID invalidates. So it's only good for when you are outside of Texas. That's how I understood it. Maybe I'm wrong. But yes, if you change residence now, if you move out of Texas and you go somewhere else, you will be able to renew your work permit. But if you are still in Texas, you will not be able to. However, this particular rule is still on hold, if I'm not mistaken, because of the shutdown. The judge has to approve it. Okay? The judge has to approve it. So I guess once everything is said and done, then we'll know better. Like, can you just get the work permit somewhere else and come back? You also do not want to be accused of fraud. It's very important. Okay. Hi, Thady Torres. My first hearing is in April 2026. Am I going to have a second hearing? Are you going to have a second hearing? If I do, then how long until I have it? Great question. So, first of all, you need to know that you have to prepare for your first hearing to have a second hearing. Why? Because some judges now close your case and make you deported. They issue a deportation order if your case on the face does not have merit. Especially it is true for asylum cases. If you prepare and they will not, they're going to give you a court date, which is typically anywhere from 8 months to 2 to 3 years for most judges. Okay, that's how it works. All right, thank you guys for following and sharing the stream. Those who are watching on TikTok, welcome to the live. I have property in Texas, but I have a 5-year ban, which is up now, and I need a lawyer. Great. Call our office, 917-885-2261, and we'll see how we can get you back. I guess you got deported at the border, right? All right. Thank you, Abidi, for your nice words. Yes, we do deserve to live nicely. All right. So let's see if we have more questions, guys. Hi, Monique. Thank you for answering. So does this mean that a minor child is guaranteed a green card once their parent received a green card and through marriage while being in the United States? Well, Pretty much, as long as the child entered the United States legally, parents were married before the kid's 18th birthday, and you have to show typically that step-parent, step-child relationship occurred between the kids, between the child and the step-parent. And yeah, so that's how it is, you know. I actually know cases where the kid would get a green card, but the parent would not. Not because the marriage is not real, but because of the certain bars. So it's, it can be vice versa. Parent gets the green card, that kid gets the green card, but parent would not. Yes. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you very much for your questions tonight. Happy Halloween, I guess, for those who are celebrating. If you go trick-or-treating with your kids or something, or maybe by yourself, I don't know. Happy Halloween, and don't forget to sign up for my social media. We're going to see each other again, hopefully next week. I hold these lives usually twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. I hope everybody's going to be safe and happy, and I hope to see you soon.